Hello, my name is Mara Linsky-Deegan, and I am the Associate Registrar and Curator here at the Charles H. McNider Art Museum in Mason City, Iowa. And today we're going to have kind of a Thanksgiving special. So we are going to be talking about some things that I think about when it comes to Thanksgiving, and we're going to be talking about some pieces in our collection that relate to those things. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that we have a lot of videos on our website. And if you go to mcniderart.org, and then at the top there are a lot of different things that you can press to take different parts of our website, and one of them is called McNider at Home. And if you go to McNider at Home, you can find a bunch of other videos, including some of the people I'm going to be talking about today, and you can learn a lot about our collection. But again, today we're going to be talking about some Thanksgiving themes. We're going to be talking about 3 themes. We're going to be talking about family, friends, and food. Those are the things that I think about when it comes to Thanksgiving. First thing we're going to be talking about when it comes to Thanksgiving is family. And I thought a great way to show family was to look at some of our Build-Bared marionettes. We have right here 4 mole people. Now that right there in the corner, he's the mole king. So we're not going to talk about him right now because he's just a king. He's kind of ruling over this family right here. So we have the mole man, the mole woman, and the mole baby. And I think they're just a very cute representation of family. So I want you to think about your family, and I want you to think, does your family look like their family? Now I know one big difference with my family is that nobody in my family is blue, and nobody in my family has a big silver star on their nose. But are there ways that these folks right here look like your family, and are there ways that these folks right here look different than your family? So the next thing in our 3 things of Thanksgiving, we talked about family. Next we're going to talk about friends. And what a better way to talk about friends than to look at this piece by Keith Haring called Best Buddies. And I really like this piece because it looks like those 2 are really just the best of friends. Now Keith Haring started off his career, he did some art things, he went to art school and was in the art world, but he also liked to do something that's a little bit different than what a lot of artists do. He liked to draw on the sidewalk and on walls and everywhere with chalk. And so when you look at this piece, I want you to think about if you think that he could have made something that looked like this with chalk, and how easy that would have been. Do you think it would have been easy, or do you think it would have been kind of hard to make something like this with chalk? Now I want you to think about the friends that you celebrate Thanksgiving with, and I want you to think about if you could create a piece, kind of like this one, where it was you and one other person that was your friend, and you were kind of hugging like that on the side. Who would you pick to draw as your friend, and why would you pick that person? I also want you to think about if you would draw yourself, if you were going to do this and draw yourself, would you draw yourself really realistic so it looked like you and your friend? Or would you draw it a little bit more abstract, like this one, where you can't really tell, you can tell they're people, but you can't tell who they are, mostly because they don't have any faces, but it's a lot more abstract. That means it doesn't look very realistic. So I want you to think about who you would choose to be your friend to draw a picture with, and also if you would draw it really realistic or if you would draw it abstract. So I said we were going to talk about 3 things when we talk about Thanksgiving. Now this piece we're going to talk about next, this piece by Anna Mary Grandma Moses. She went by Grandma Moses, and that's how most people know her, but her actual first name was Anna Mary. She made this piece right here. It is a painting, and it's called Going Home from Church. And what we're going to talk about now is traditions that we do at Thanksgiving with our friends and family. So we have our friends, we have our family, but a lot of times we do different things with them, like eating certain foods or playing some certain games. A lot of people play all kinds of fun games, or even maybe giving certain gifts. And I thought this would be a great one to talk about. These folks right here, it could be a group of family, it could be a group of friends, it could be a mixture of friends and family. And it looks like maybe they're doing something that's a tradition for them, which is coming home from church on their horse-drawn sleigh. And I think it's a really cool thing to think about. Is that something that you would do with your family now? Maybe. Luckily, hopefully this year it won't be too snowy. It's gonna be pretty cold, I bet, but it's not gonna be too snowy yet. So I think it'd be hard to do a horse-drawn sleigh. But is there some tradition that you do with your family every Thanksgiving? And if there is, do you like it? Do you think it's fun or cool? Or do you think, I wish we would have another tradition, something different? So I want you to think about that, because that's a good one. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about when it comes to Thanksgiving and pieces in our collection here that remind me of Thanksgiving are two pieces that remind me of food, mostly because they look like food. The first one is by Andy Warhol, and it's called the Campbell's Soup Can. You can see right here that it's tomato soup, which I really like. One of the things that Andy Warhol is really known for is creating what we call pop art. And that's a movement of art, a way that people like to create art that kind of all look the same. One of the things that pop artists really like to do is they like to be very realistic. So they like to look, their pieces look like things that you'd find in everyday life. So if you went to your cupboard in your kitchen, you might find a Campbell's soup can that looks pretty similar to this, maybe just a little bit smaller, but it would look very similar, so it's very realistic. Pop artists also like to use nice bright colors, right? So yeah, this red is very bright, and it's a nice bright gold and white, so it's really bright. And then they also like to make very simple pieces. So this right here is simple. It's just one can of tomato soup. There's not a whole shelf of stuff behind there with crackers and milk and all kinds of other things you find in the kitchen. It's just one thing. So this is really representational of what a pop artist's artwork would look like. But it also has to do with Thanksgiving because it shows food. And that's something that a lot of people associate with Thanksgiving. That means when they think about Thanksgiving, they think about food. I know I do. So I want you to think in your own mind what you and your family and your friends eat for Thanksgiving. And I want you to pick your favorite thing that you eat for Thanksgiving. Is there something traditional you eat every year on Thanksgiving that's just the best? I know I have my favorites. And then I also want you to think about, is there something that your family makes for Thanksgiving, or maybe even friends, that you are just like, I do not like it and I'm never going to eat it? What would that be and why? I know for me it's green bean casserole. I love green beans, but I do not like green bean casserole. Everybody has their things that they like and they don't like. So this is another piece we have in our collection, and as you can see, it relates to food. And this is my favorite part of Thanksgiving, which is the dessert. This artist, Wayne Thiebaud, is also a pop artist, and he has his piece right here called Suckers State Number 2. And if you look at them, they look like lollipops. And you can see, just like the Andy Warhol piece we looked at with pop artists, it's bright colors. It's a pretty simple piece. There's just some suckers there, but there's not a bunch of other stuff like cakes and candies all around. It's just those. And the other thing is it's very representational, which means it looks exactly like a lollipop or a sucker. When you look at that, you can definitely tell what it is. Now, when I think of a dessert at Thanksgiving, I don't necessarily think of lollipops, but I wonder if somebody out there watching this, if that's something you do have for dessert after Thanksgiving. I usually think of pie. I do like pie, especially pumpkin pie and pecan pie. Both of those are so good. And I love trying not to eat too much at Thanksgiving so that I can save room at the end for some kind of pie. It doesn't always work. Sometimes I have to wait and have my pie the next day because I have eaten too much turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes and all kinds of good stuff. But I want you to think about what your favorite dessert is. And is it something that you eat at Thanksgiving? Or at Thanksgiving, do you have a special dessert that you don't eat the rest of the year?